alongside Andy Kane. The forward pack, Jordan James, Mark Smith, who's the skipper, and Oliver Wilkes, Lee Doran, Paul Noon and Bob Bezic. And the bench occupied by Aaron Summers, Mick Cassidy, Darryl Cardis and Gareth Price. And the coach is Steve McCormack. Now the Leigh Centurions. Miles Greenwood is their fullback. It's Rob Smythe, David Olstead, Adam Hughes and Leroy Rivette. Martin Ainscough alongside Aaron Jeremiah, who's the skipper. The forwards, Warren Stevens, John Clough and Dana Wilson. Chris Hill, Tommy Grundy and Rob Roberts. And the bench, Sam Butterworth, Tim Yonkers, Sean Richardson, just back with the club, and John Cookson. The coach is Paul Rowley. It's a perfect night, as you can see, for rugby league at the Halton Stadium. Clear blue skies. In the commentary box, Phil Clark, Barry McDermott, and the first voice we'll hear, Bill Arthur.
And the Leigh supporters ready for the new season. So too the Widnes Vikings fans, although the talk among them, of course, is the turmoil behind the scenes with Steve Braun's outburst today. Well, I don't think so much it's an outburst. I think it's been brewing. If you talk to people in this neck of the woods, this has been brewing for some time, and didn't come as any surprise to seasoned Widnes watchers, Barry McDermott among them.
I think it was a decision that was imminent, really. I think Stephen Vaughan joined the club with a hope of getting to Super League, and when they failed to, they must have been asking the question, why should I stay?
So a bit of upheaval for Widnes just at the wrong time for them. And Leigh, well, they've had a scratchy start to the season. It is a new look Leigh side. Adam Hughes among them, and Tony Benson, the former coach, left the club. Darren Shaw has come in as football manager. Paul Rowley as player coach. Willie Swan and coaching staff as well. And 15 debutants in the Leigh side this season. So quite a lot of change there as well.
There's some significant changes off the field as well, revolving around the Leigh club. Leigh Sports Village is now well underway. It will happen, and it will provide them with a fantastic facility on which they develop both on and off the field now. There's a hotbed of talent in the Leigh area. If that club can get its act together, it will be a strong one.
The referee is Gareth Hewer from Whitehaven, and big game for him. Of course, a tempestuous meeting the last time between these two clubs, and it is interesting to see how this one will boil up as Leigh Centurions have first taste of the ball. And Leigh still missing two players as a result of that match, with Paul Rowley and Malungi Style still serving 4 match bans midway through those. Rob Roberts, though, taking the ball up there, returning to the Leigh side today, and he was another player involved in the Schmozzle that day. But they're looking to put it behind them, that match. It's important that they do and that they get on with this game. Here's Dana Wilson taking that ball up. He had a disrupted start to the season. Dana Wilson had visa problems, had to return to New Zealand to sort those out, but he's back in action now. Good. And Leigh, with Jeremiah putting the kick in, and it's into the evening sun. A lovely evening here at the Halton Stadium, and Scott Griggs runs that ball back.
It's a great start, isn't it, from Widnes to contain the Leigh side to just a 25-metre gain in 5 carries. Very strong in defence. And now it's Widnes' turn with their back three. When you talk about the Widnes side, a lot of their good platform is set by Blanche, Dodd on the other wing, and of course Griggs at fullback. The way those 3 players return the set very often sets the platform.
Jordan James taking that ball up, very experienced Welsh international. Of course, was at Wigan last season briefly, as was Ollie Wilkes when Ian Millwood was desperately trying to find recruits. And the first penalty of the game goes the Vikings' way. A hand in there, says Gareth Hewitt.
Well, the D word is one we spoke about for Leigh, discipline. It's a bad penalty to concede on the very last tackle. It gives Widnes a great chance here to start the scoring.
They've chosen to tap the ball. Bezic, outstanding in the Challenge Cup game, and here is big Mick Nannin, a solid centre, gets the ball out superbly, and Griggs will get the first try for the National League One season. And well worked from that tap penalty. Scott Griggs gets his 10th try of the season.
It's the little things, isn't it, that cost teams. The penalty conceded by Leigh gifted Widnes this wonderful opportunity, and Nannin at over 17 stones is a real handful, too strong for all three Leigh defenders. Griggs inside position to take the ball and put it over the line. This goes again to show you, when Widnes get themselves into good position, they will shift the ball and look to try and hurt their opponents. It's what they've done to begin this game. Great beginning for Widnes.
I think he deserves that, Scott Griggs. If you watch him following the plays, looking for the scraps and just feeds off the great inside ball from McNannon, and as Phil said, that's the advantage of 17 stone plus running at the 16, 15 stone that Leigh have got marking him.
And Miles Greenwood for Leigh Centurions, unable to stop Scott Griggs there. And McNannon, as ever, with the conversion attempt, a prolific point scorer wherever he's been, at Whitehaven, at Rochdale and at Swinton. Now at Widnes, where he's already taken Jonathan Davis's point scoring record. He's got 41 goals already this season, and make that 42.
Well, there are some people who are critical of Nannin. They say he only actually wants the ball when he gets close to his opponent's line. But what he's shown there is that given that opportunity, he'll show his strength. And his strength is attracting the defenders towards him. If he can't get through the line, that's skipping the footwork, he'll create an opportunity for a teammate. Griggs was perfectly placed to take that opportunity and start with the first 4 points.
I think the great strength that Widnes have got is they're great at getting over the advantage line. They run really flat, and just as soon as they can, they're over the advantage line, gaining that territory.
Dennis Moran under that ball for the Vikings. And Jordan James again fronting up for this Widnes side, who are playing directly into the setting sun here. And given the earliness of this kickoff, people still drifting home from work, of course. It's a pretty good turnout here at the Holton Stadium, and fans still coming in through the gates. And the Widnes fans will be delighted to see their side already on the scoreboard and winning another penalty. And Leigh, it's quite obvious, looking to just try and slow this Viking side down.
I suppose Blanche, Barry, you would know, such a strong and powerful player. When players get a grip on him, it's very hard to control that tackle in that ruck area, and it's the reason why so many players concede penalties when tackling Blanche.
I mean, that's not a penalty unless Blanche is fighting really hard to get up and play the ball.
So something for Darren Shaw, you saw there, to think about, the football manager for the Leigh Centurions. Mark Smith, here's Bob Bezic, Wigan player at one time and looked to have a bright future at the Warriors, but has moved on, and in many people's eyes he still does have a bright future. Ollie Wilkes had Jordan James steaming up on his shoulder there, couldn't see him. But Widnes again threatening. Here's Dennis Moran. Moran still a little burst of pace, the ball pops up, it missed Leigh Doran, I think. It was picked up by Toa Koe-Love. Moran puts the kick in, and nearly bounced up for Mark Smith, and eventually well handled by Miles Greenwood.
Excellent start by Widnes, clearing their own half well, helped by the penalties, but then looking dangerous when they get close to opponent's line, and dangerous in a variety of ways.
That's the next best thing that you want. You want to regain the possession and put real pressure on your opponent's line, and that's what Widnes did. Very, very smart play from Dennis Moran.
So Aaron Jeremiah forced to drop out from underneath his own sticks, and Jordan James is able to make some pretty comfortable yards for Steve McCormack's side. The Widnes Vikings coach, who's lost in 3 grand finals, looking to get to the Headingley Carnegie Stadium later this year for another one, and to finally win one, which would take this Viking side into Super League, but a long way to go before they can think about that as the Vikings come forward again. 18 rounds of this competition plus the playoffs. Moran, Jordan James looking to take him on up the middle. Tackled by Warren Stevens. On the last now, and Bezic puts a little grubber kick in, it ricochets, comes to Cardis, still on the last, and Cardis will take him on, but I think he's going to be held up.
Last tackle,
and Gareth Hewer right on the spot says Daryl Cardis was held up. That'll be the turnover.
After all that attacking pressure, it's going to be interesting what intensity Widnes have got in defence now.
They'll seem a little shell-shocked to begin, don't they? Widnes have had all the ball, and also their defensive line speed is excellent, isn't it? They're controlling the ruck, putting bodies in the tackle, and I think they're carrying on the way they started the game in the Challenge Cup against Wigan last week, very similar to the way they've started here tonight.
I know from speaking to one or two of them that they just decided, let's just go for it, lads, and if they run out of steam after 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. At least they'll have given themselves a good platform and every opportunity to kick on, and in fact that's what happened.
Jeremiah went for a 40-20 there and was very close. Just running out of pace, but at least putting Widnes at the other end of the field and relieving a bit of pressure.
I think also giving the side maybe the 30 to 40 seconds that it takes to form a scrum and get the ball back in play. They need that break, but what they must do now is to lift their intensity again in defence. Otherwise, Widnes get their hand over the top of this arm wrestle and now put themselves in a dominant position.
McNannon struggling to get to his feet, looking for a penalty. Gareth Hewer would have none of that. Dennis Moran. Here's Jordan James.
He's got great footwork, Jordan James. He's an ex-back rower and played most of his rugby last year for Widnes in the back row. And what he does give you is just great footwork and that uncertainty.
Grix offloads to Wilkes, who's lost that ball, and Widnes will get another penalty for another hand in from a leigh player. Adam Hughes looks bemused by that verdict, but it was definitely some sort of interference, yes.
Well, conceding a penalty, I think, on the fourth tackle again doesn't help the chances. And the fact that Widnes aren't coming up with any mistakes of their own makes life harder now. Again, great ball control. They've got some good core skills, carrying the ball well, looking to offload when they're in a good position.
Wilkes. Clough clambering all over the back to stop him, and Mark Smith goes on a sniping run, but he's held just short of the try line and then driven back. Good defence that time from Warren Stevens. Quick play the ball, and Moran turns and points for the runner, and again Aaron Jeremiah has to tidy up, and
they'll take that Widnes, I think. There wasn't much on there, and they've got another set of 6.
Well, there seems a really good balance to this Widnes side, isn't there? Players tend to complement one another. They've got forwards who do what they do well. The half-backs link well. Mark Smith at dummy half looks dangerous, and Bob Bezic complements the all-round effort, doesn't he, at the back of the scrum? Really good balance to this as a whole team at the moment.
Referee Hewer just having to have a word with Tommy Grundy, who I think was not impressed with the challenge on Aaron Jeremiah there. On the 30-metre line, Widnes. Jordan James, seen plenty of action early on. That looked forward to Oliver Wilkes from Andy Kane.
Hasn't he worked hard for the first 10 or so minutes?
Here's Moran. Grix, lovely footwork, almost carrying him inside the defender. Adam Hughes just managing to click on. Moran sweeps the ball out to Kane, and Kane sniping. Oh, and look to get the pass away to Jordan James. The ball comes adrift. No advantage, says Gareth Hewer, but just for a moment, glorious opportunity opened up there.
It's the first mistake I can see. Remember, Widnes have made in this game. It was a lucky one too that Leigh needed. Some desperate scramble in that Leigh defence. He's keeping them in the game, but they're having to work hard to contain what Widnes are throwing. Really good variety of attacking options, Barry, when close to Leigh's line.
It's a big thing to know who is going to control the ball, who's going to do what with the ball, and I think the uncertainty in the leigh defence is coming from the halves, is coming from bodies in motion, and certainly the inside ball from Kane there was on a little bit better, a better grip on the actual ball, would have made the pass possible, and definitely they were in with a try. But it's about character. There's 10 or so minutes gone, and Leigh are only 6 points down, and pretty much have defended for the first 11 minutes, 12 minutes.
Warren Stevens on the charge. Chris Hill. Jeremiah trying to get away from Paul Noon's challenge. John Clough now, big pressure on the shoulders of John Clough, because Paul Rowley, number one hooker, is still suspended. That's a big boot from Rob Roberts, and still going strong when it reaches the ball boy.
They needed that and all. I think they were trying to go sideways before they'd gone forward.
You said that, and yet they kicked on the third tackle maybe early when considering how little possession they've had.
Rob Roberts is a very experienced campaigner. He's looked at what yardage they were making, looked at what they needed to do, and the absolute objective is to get as far away from your try line as possible.
But here come the Vikings again.
That's a great hit there.
Noon felt that one. That was Tommy Grundy putting his shoulder in. Here's Mark Smith.
It was a good shot and good impact, but it's not enough just to make the shot. You've got to dominate the tackle.
Moran stabs the kick in. Griggs is chasing that one. It's going to beat everybody to the touchline.
20.
Again, another wonderful example of the variety of attacking options here. There's been pass plays, inside balls. Here's a kick through for teammates. Tries his best, toes it through into the in-goal area. Had the soft kick been a soft one, maybe Corey Love had scored.
He did well there, and look at this defence from the Widnes Vikings.
Defence. That shows great enthusiasm. That lifts your side, that.
And Rob Roberts driven back in the tackle, so now Leigh look to get the ball wide. Chris Hill bringing it back infield.
Tackle 2, hands away.
Clough. Good run from Martin Ainscough. Haven't seen anything yet of this former Leigh Miners player, but very highly rated, the 21-year-old. Chris Hill.
4-10,
Leigh could just do with a decent set of 6 and maybe force a goal line dropout just to get something positive out of this game, but that's a good tackle there from Paul Noon.
Spotted the attack, spotted the play and just went for it.
And Roberts again really forced into putting that kick in, and Griggs underneath it, and he really does look very accomplished. And that was a high tackle, and one or two players just keen to get involved there. Gareth Ewer quickly on the spot, and Tommy Grundy just getting a talking to.
Former Leigh player, of course, Scott Griggs, so a bit of a welcome from one of his old teammates there.
Griggs was signed from Leigh.
You know, it's the 4th penalty that Leigh have conceded, and Widnes yet to concede just even the first one. And that's possibly the difference as well, isn't it? When Leigh were relegated from Super League less than 2 years ago, they conceded more penalties than any other side in the league. Not all for dirty foul play, but very often technical offences, lying on, interference. And the team that concedes the majority of penalties usually loses the game of rugby league.
Mark Smith again finding yards straight up the middle. And Moran again opting for the kick, and this time Damien Blanche will get there first. And that was very well made by Dennis Moran, and Damien Blanche read the script perfectly and gets his 2nd try of the season. The former Australian schools and Penrith junior.
Talk about the talent there. Look, he's disciplined firstly to stay onside, waiting for the kicker to put the ball on his foot before he hit the accelerator and went hard for the ball. Damien Blanche is a very good rugby league player. He knew what to do and when to do it, and for the reason of that, he's come up with a 4-point try here, an important one again. With Widnes having the early domination of this game, it's important that they put some points on the board. Blanche has just done that again.
He's the blonde bombshell in this Widnes Vikings side. They signed him from the Castleford Tigers on loan originally, and now that deal has been made permanent. And he is a very productive player. That's only his 2nd try of the season, but he contributes a lot more than just try scoring.
As you say, Damien Blanche does a lot of his work coming off his own line, and that's the sign of a good player and a great player. But I do like the look of Widnes when Dennis Moran's got ball in hand. There's lots of options. Everybody seems to be on the same wavelength.
There is Dennis Moran, 30 years old now, but a very astute operator. And Mick Nannin, no slouch with the boot. Another 2 points to his tally and to the Widnes Vikings tally on this opening night of National League One. Widnes ahead by 12 points to 0.
just great awareness there from Blanche and Dennis Moran, and as I said, they both seem to be on the same sheet, and just great to see. Did you say Dennis Moran was 30 years old, Bill?
He is 30 years old.
He must have had a couple of paper rounds when he was younger.
Stay on, John.
Well, he was at Wigan, of course, and left there to join the Vikings campaign last year. Top scorer in Super League, top try scorer in Super League for 2 seasons running. Dennis Moran was in 2002 and 2003, and has still got a lot to offer the side, as has Mick Cassidy. 33 years old he is, and keen to point out that he was in the same England schoolboys side as his coach Steve McCormack, both 16-year-olds. And Cassidy is still going strong.
Well, Steve McCormack really wants to keep a firm control on this game. He sent Cassidy on quite early here now, and he's helped just reignite, just spikes them up in the middle of the field. They've got over the halfway line in 5 tackles, and again they're looking to maybe put pressure on Leigh here with this kick.
Dennis Moran hoists it. Miles Greenwood is underneath it with plenty of time to compose himself. Former St Helens Academy, but
shot. What
a great follow-up that was. Well, he didn't have long, having composed himself, to get flattened.
Look at this. Bang.
We're talking about the quality in this league, Barry. You know, for the first almost quarter of this game, Widnes look equal to a Super League side. The completion rate side, their skill factor's good. They've got players standing in great positions taking the ball. They look a really class team.
They just look well drilled, don't they? And we commented on it before kick-off. The added incentive of almost taking Wigan to the wire and almost coming away with a victory is something that will have given them great confidence. I'm not sure the coach of Leigh would have expected his impact sub-player to be coming up with a player like that.
Yes, Sean Richardson, who only joined the Leigh Centurions this week from the Batley Bulldogs. His first involvement really is a controversial one. He felt that the ball was stolen in that tackle by Mick Cassidy, and Gareth Ewer decided it was a knock-on by Richardson. This is second debut for the Leigh Centurions. There he is, wearing 16, making that tackle, Sean Richardson. And here is Mick Cassidy, also 33 years old.
Yeah, Sean, hold the line.
So the Leigh line is again threatened. Moran just had to juggle with that, but still has time to pop the ball away to Grix. They'll come back in field. It's back with Grix via Toa Koe Love, and it'll be another penalty. Well, we said before the game that discipline was going to be crucial, but I don't think the message has got through.
Well, there's Cookson who's just come on. He's caught there for the high one.
Well, it wasn't.
It's just a lazy arm. There wasn't too much in it.
He was leaning on him.
Do you know what, Barry? John Cookson reminds me of you. I watched him play on DVE a couple of weeks ago. He's got similarities with your game. Not all of them being high shots. He's got good footwork and some power if he can get his hands on the ball. But at the moment, he and his teammates have to hold out here.
Noon hoping to head for the try line, but that's good defence from the Leigh Centurions to drive him back. Kane, Moran trying to duck under the challenge of Clough and Hill. And desperate defence, and that's a knock-on, and that was good defence. And Miles Greenwood getting a pat on the back.
So you have to hang in there, don't you? Survive when you need to. Clough's involved in the tackle. Moran tries to get up. Well, Greenwood and Richardson involved. It is a fumble, I think. Can't really criticise the Leigh players. He drops the ball. And Leigh need to get as far away from this line as possible, and I would think would do anything to be awarded a penalty on the 4th or 5th tackle, just to have the hands on the ball.
Time on.
Again, I mentioned it, coming away from your own line, what you want to do is put as much distance between your line and their line as you can. The closer you are to your line, the more chance you've got of making an error and, in fact, conceding a try. But it's all to do for Leigh here. They've spent virtually 21 minutes defending.
Richardson trying to take him forward. Now Chris Hill, dumped to the ground by the tackle of Bob Bezic and Leigh Doran. Oh, and then laziness really from Leigh Centurions, and that ball was popped up and is back in the possession of the Widnes Vikings. And Cookson furious with himself, and now Cassidy comes forward, but Andy Kane couldn't take that ball, and they'll bring it back for a knock-on. And just a little bit of simmering going on off the ball.
I've noticed that, a bit of pushing and shoving and a bit of late play, and perhaps dummy runners being taken out. So 22 minutes gone before we've had to talk about the discipline and the discipline of a bit of fighting.
Let's hope they
Let's go.
don't descend to the depths they went to the last time they met.
You know, it's not surprising in this opening quarter that Leigh do lack a little bit of direction. Their hooker normally, Paul Rowley, is still suspended from 4 weeks ago. You know, he provides that, and the role of the acting halfback, the number 9 in rugby league, is very often crucial to the way a team get downfield. You see him sat in the stand with a red top on there next to his coach, football manager, I should say. And without him, they are struggling somewhat.
Release!
And Leigh really haven't threatened this Widnes line yet. They've hardly been out of their own half.
And when teams don't get forward, that's when they start to push the pass, which I think is what Leigh just did then. Push the pass inside their own half when it's not on.
Richardson
Leigh, come
is
on.
met by Aaron Summers. And then Jeremiah puts a deep kick in between Damien Blanche and Scott Griggs. And it's Blanche who will return this ball. Now then, Leigh will look to pin them down in this end of the field. Try and force the error. Griggs. Keen for work, Scott Griggs is.
There's a difference, isn't there, in the styles of the two teams coming out of their own half. Widnes go for dummy half runs. You've just seen a fullback get involved. Bezic scooted out to there. Then a winger, Dodd, maybe gets 5 or 6 metres. The Leigh side have pushed the ball backward a couple of metres, hoping that a big forward will take it forward. That's a bit more difficult.
Moran, always a threat, very nearly managing to find a way through there. Mark Smith puts the kick in. And here's Rob Smythe, another ex-Wigan player in this Leigh Centurion side. Jeremiah. And Jeremiah wins the penalty.
They've been praying for that, haven't they, Leigh? They just haven't been able to break that deadlock, and any time they look like they were getting anywhere near, they've gave away the penalty themselves. But let's see what they can do here.
Yeah, teams split the possession bill into yardage sets where they're just trying to get downfield and good ball. This is what they would define as good ball. Let's see what Leigh have to offer.
Rob Smythe takes that ball up, and now they shift the ball the other side of the field. Little step from Ainscough. Gets the ball away to Aaron Jeremiah. And the Leigh fans at last have something to cheer about. Their side is in sight of them now. They've been up the other end of the field for most of the game as Rob Roberts tries to muscle his way towards that try line. Clough, all wrapped up. Roberts again having a go himself, but Cassidy is there. That's the 5th tackle. Clough, Ainscough stabs a grubber kick in. That's a useful looking one, but Gavin Dodd is there. Well placed, the wingman. And Widnes look to counter quickly.
And they look like a good side. They can play both ends of the field. They can play in attack. They've just shown they can cope in defence on their own line. And then the transition I should say, to attack, absolutely excellent there.
That's all you'll get from Nick Cassidy all day. Just straight and hard, comes right back in the block hole and a quick play the ball.
Lee Duran, now Toa Koe-Love. Familiar, forceful handoff from Toa Koe-Love. And Widnes looking threatening.
Hold the 10, hold.
Bezic keeps Cookson at bay and then takes on another couple. He really does look in form at the moment, Bob Bezic, and then gets the penalty.
Do you know, I think Bob Bezic's possibly the best player in National League to not even be on the radar screens of anybody in Super League. I can't believe that anybody hasn't picked him up.
Yeah, he's got to get off the ruck, he's got to get off the side and at the top. The next one will be going in the sin bin, okay? Make sure you get it relayed to your players instead of me doing it. I'll take action next.
So Gareth Hewitt just informing Aaron Jeremiah exactly what he wants. And Sean Richardson penalised, which gives Mick Nannin a very simple opportunity right in front of these posts. Well, Steve McCormack, well aware of what's going on behind the scenes at the Widnes Vikings with the chairman quitting, but he said this morning that he and the players have really just got to focus on what their targets are, and that's to get off to a winning start in the National League One campaign.
It appears to me, Bill, as though he's trying to follow the Hull Kingston Rovers model of having a younger side with players who have the talent and ability, if the side are promoted at the end of the season, to retain with the club and form the nucleus of the side up in Super League.
Well, there's a long way to go. The Widnes are a lot of people's tips to make the grand final later in the season. Mick Nannin extending their lead to 14 points to 0. Certainly so far this season, Widnes have looked in good shape. They've just lost 2 from 8 games so far in the Northern Rail and in the Challenge Cup, and their performance against Wigan, as we said earlier on, was very convincing.
I think the making or breaking of any team is its strength in depth, and if you look at the players that aren't playing today, Dean Gaskell, Adam Beaumont, there's 2 or 3 others that really could be pushing for places.
Cassidy, Andy Kane, who was a bit of an injury doubt before this game. Of course, Leigh will point to the fact that they've got so many people out, not just Rowley and Malinghi Styles who are absent, but you've got James Taylor, who's missing with a broken jaw, Anthony Stewart, Achilles injury, John Hill, who's out for the entire season by the sound of things with a knee injury, Damien Couturier is missing, Danny Speakman. So there's a lot of players to come back. Meanwhile, Damien Blanche kicks that ball in field, and it'll be a simple try for Toa Koe Love. And Leigh getting into an awful tangle there. Damien Blanche capitalising on a little bit of hesitation. Dennis Moran keeping his cool, and Toa Koe Love getting his 10th try of the season.
Well, again, you see all the Widnes players staying on side. Good teams make the kicks dangerous. They want to make life hard for their opponents, and that's what Widnes have done there. They've made life hard for the 2 Leigh defenders. They've challenged them. Moran's got the bounce of the ball, and then just the sheer weight of numbers. The look at the white shirts there that were in your screen tells you that the Widnes players are wanting to support the ball carrier and take every opportunity.
Miles Greenwood committed the cardinal sin. He let the ball bounce. He was a little bit far away from him perhaps, but all the white shirts in the screen just made it impossible for him to prevent the try.
31-year-old Toa Koe Love is a very experienced campaigner, a Hull player in Super League, in Bradford as well, and the Warrington Wolves, and now is a very useful weapon to have in your side in National League One. So Mick Nannin, a 100% record so far, 3 from 3. Of course, this isn't the first game in the National League season. That was last night with Featherstone beating Oldham. By all accounts, that was a cracking game as well, but David Hobbs' side getting off to a winning start, and Mick Nannin's missed one.
There's one for the scrapbooks. He doesn't miss many.
And on that angle, it looked like it went in, didn't it? It must have just gone in front of the far upright. Close effort.
Toa Koe Love's second try of the season against the Leigh Centurions. He scored one in the Northern Rail Cup. It is 1 apiece so far this season between these 2 sides, and last year, in 5 meetings between Leigh and Widnes, Leigh definitely had the upper hand, winning 4 of them, so they know what to do, but with so many players missing tonight, they really are up against it.
He did well, Dennis Moran, then. The sun was right in his eyes.
Oh.
You'd have to be very critical of Widnes if they lost this game from this position. They've got full control of the game, and Griggs now goes on with it, Bill.
Griggs has got Damien Blanche on his inside and decides to go himself, and eventually is brought down by Miles Greenwood, and the referee waves play on, and what an opportunity that was for the Widnes Vikings side.
It was a shot on Mick Cassidy that dislodged the ball. The referee chose to play on, and Scott Griggs showed great awareness, picked the ball up and just pinned his ears back. He should have given it to Blanche inside though.
And then the ball squirting out, and a glorious opportunity went begging, and Damien Blanche, as Barry said, was just for a moment right on his shoulder, but it was very brief, and the Centurions cover got back very quickly.
Well, you know Leigh are still in this game, don't you, when they're going to recover like that. Griggs and Blanche down the middle, and still Leigh got back. Here's an important penalty for them, and they've tapped it quickly and gone on with it.
And Jeremiah takes them inside the Widnes 40. They need to get some points on the board to the Leigh Centurions. Tim Yonkers is on the field for the Centurions. Clough, Jeremiah, here's Dana Wilson. And the Leigh supporters at that end that the Centurions are attacking, urging this side on, and then the pass goes astray. And once more, Widnes break. This time it's Bezic. I don't think Bezic's got the legs. He's looking for somebody who has, perhaps. Coming across to this wing to find Gavin Dodd. And Dodd was screaming out for the ball, but Bezic couldn't get to it. But again, Widnes quick on the break to capitalise.
I think he had so many options, he didn't know which one to take, Bill.
Nanin bulldozing through, and it was again a careless pass from this Leigh side. Damien Blanche running straight at Yonkers. Olsted with the tackle as well. Gareth Price rumbling forward. Andy Kane, the gap seemed to open up for him, then he tried to tunnel through, but Miles Greenwood clings onto him. Mark Smith, Dennis Moran, Duran, and Koa Koilov, but that one went forward. Touch judge stood his ground.
Tackle for scrum.
Do you know what? I'm going to give Leigh a massive rap here. Twice the line's been broken, and twice in the last 5 minutes they've recovered. They've had enough bodies back, and they're all right. They're clinging on here, but that's a good effort there. You just see they did enough in defence. Ensko gets involved, goes low, and the ball then does drift forward. That pass is a forward one, I think indicated by the touch judge, and disallowed. And at 18 points to nil, Leigh are just still in this game. They still have a chance. 3 scores is possible. 4, I think, is too many.
But 5 minutes to go before the break. They really do need to get something on the board before the interval.
They do, but like Phil says, I'm with you. I think they've showed tremendous character, and they're still fighting, and nobody in Leigh shirt is giving up just yet.
Roberts is tackled just outside his own 30. John Clough, Tim Yonkers now. Yonkers, another very experienced player. He's won honours at St Helens, of course, in the World Club Challenge, the Challenge Cup, and at a Super League Grand Final, so he knows what it's all about. Roberts dragging those Widnes defenders with him towards the halfway line.
He's not going to give it, Bill.
Jeremiah then puts the kick in straight into the arms of the immaculate Scott Griggs.
That's one. Hold it, fella, hold, go.
Scott Griggs, his brother Simon, is at Warrington and just recovering from a shoulder injury at the moment, but a talented pair they are. Here's Gareth Price, who's at the other spectrum of talents. He's a no-nonsense prop forward, going forward, Gareth Price.
I thought for a minute then you were saying he had no talent, Bill. How dare you call a fellow front rower?
Contrasting talents. Here he is again.
5. Warren, come on, big effort on the 10 metres.
Goes where your full-back doesn't tend to inhabit, really. Greenwood underneath that one for the Centurions.
Miles Greenwood's a player with tremendous potential. You know, he actually came to the Halton Stadium on loan from St Helens last year, and he's a great broken field runner.
He's a British student international, Miles Greenwood, and studying at Liverpool John Moores University.
I actually went to school with his mum, Bill. How old does that make me?
They're on halfway of the
You were
Centurions.
clever, Barry. They put you up a few classes, didn't they?
looked forward to me, but the referee on the last waves play on, and Leigh are running it. Then Chris Hill puts the kick in, it's hacked on, and Griggs almost wrong-footed by that one.
He has an uncanny ability, doesn't he, Griggs, of being in the right place at the right time. Bounces through tackles again. He's been a standout player for Widnes in what's been a good effort. Here could be a sin binning.
And Miles Greenwood is going to spend 10 minutes in the bin. And to be fair, Gareth Hewer had warned the Leigh Centurions earlier on about their delaying tactics. And Miles Greenwood pays the price.
It's just sheer desperation when you've got somebody like Scott Griggs and possibly like Phil mentioned at the start, three of the best broken field players in the national leagues for this team.
Well, that ball just popped out of the tackle, and I think the Widnes players were anticipating that Aaron Summers would take the tackle.
It was a legitimate and a quality right-hand offload, wasn't he? He just didn't have the support for it to capitalise.
How many pies?
Capitalise.
The capital of pies, that's Wigan, isn't it?
We're there tomorrow.
The capital. Here's Gareth Price. Straight up the middle with talent. Mark Smith and Dennis Moran, and Moran will fancy this one and struggling to get to the line. He gets there, the little legs were driving away and they got him over the try line. But for a moment he was in clear air, his legs were pumping.
He is and always will be a real handful when he's close to his opponent's line, and even more so when he has inside and outside running options. Just look here in slow motion, he's two players that he could pass to on the inside and two players on the outside. That has put some doubt in the mind of the two men who are trying to defend against him. And with his footwork and evasive skills, the dummy inside, the show outside, and he just about gets to the line.
What grip Dennis Moran had there. He's got his thumb round the ball and he's never going to drop that. And what players like Dennis Moran have got, they've got time, and it's a real difficult prospect trying to outthink Dennis Moran when you're on an opposing team. You don't know what he's going to do, because I think Dennis probably doesn't know what he's going to do.
So McNannon from just about the same spot that he missed the last kick from, and he's probably still chuntering about that one. Doesn't like missing kicks. And this to extend the Vikings lead just before half-time. And just when Leigh were thinking that maybe they could find a way back into this game, Dennis Moran pulls one out of his box of tricks. Get his 10th try of the season. McNannon adds the extras, and Widnes are ahead by 24 points to 0.
You see, going at the line, the Widnes defence the Leigh defence had to be tired at this stage. They've done too much work really to give themselves a chance, and he's poked his nose through and scored an important try. I think psychologically it's given Widnes the comfort factor really of a 24-point half-time lead.
Gareth Price takes the tackle. And Damien Blanche in off his win, looking for work as the hooter sounds. And Blanche among the try scorers for Mark Smith's Widnes side. And they've really taken this game by the scruff of the neck.
Has to say, and